Welcome to this explainer. So today we're jumping right into a moment that happens in pretty much every home. You know the exact one I'm talking about. That moment where we think we're raising the next Einstein. But we're actually going to look at why a completely well-intentioned, super encouraging label can accidentally make mistakes feel dangerous for our kids. As parents, we just want to build our kids up, right? But it turns out sometimes the very words we use to build confidence can secretly create a really heavy burden.
Picture this for a second. You're sitting at the kitchen table. Your child brings home a really high math score, and you smile and naturally say those loving words, "You're so smart," and they light up. It feels warm, it feels proud, and it seems completely harmless. But then, maybe a few weeks later, the work gets harder, and suddenly they're hiding a lower score or totally melting down over an advanced worksheet, just saying, "I'm just bad at this." It kind of leaves us wondering, doesn't it? How did a confident kid suddenly become so terrified of a single mistake?
Well, what's really fascinating here is the hidden trap. While that praise felt amazing in the moment, it actually carried an extra, completely unintended message. In their head, the child hears, "Being smart is what makes me special, so I need to keep proving it." When a broad label becomes the main explanation for why they succeeded, a difficult task stops being just regular homework. It literally becomes a stressful test of their entire identity. Because if they succeed because they are smart, they secretly start to fear that if they struggle, it must mean they aren't smart after all.
It really comes down to a crucial difference between two approaches. On one side, we have what's called person praise, like saying, "You're so smart." This describes a child as a certain type of person. It's a fixed label. But on the other side, there's process feedback, like saying, "Hey, you checked your work and found the mistake." That highlights a specific action, a strategy, or a choice they made. Our kids are actually constantly using our praise as data to figure out why they succeeded in the first place.
Think of it like this. Are you handing them a verdict, or are you giving them a map? A label gives a child a final verdict about exactly who they are, but useful feedback, that provides a map. It tells them, this is what you did, this is what helped, and here is where you can go next. When the math inevitably gets hard and success isn't so easy anymore, a verdict just leaves them stranded. But a map gives them a way forward.
Honestly, it is so incredibly easy for us to accidentally fall into these 5 common traps. First, making smart an identity, which literally makes kids choose easy work just to protect that label. Second, inflated praise. Let's be real, telling a kid they're an absolute genius for tying their shoe just makes our approval feel like a performance they have to keep up. Third, just swapping smart for another fixed label, like hard worker, because if they rush the next day, they feel they've lost that identity too. Fourth, praising empty effort when a strategy didn't actually work. Older kids especially see right through this. And fifth, using praise as a final judgment. Saying perfect actually just shuts down the conversation instead of opening it up.
So what does this actually look like in our living rooms? Watch out for these warning signs. You might see a child safely choosing an easy book they've already read, like 100 times, just to avoid a challenge. You might notice them hiding low scores, erasing their paper until it literally rips, or flat out refusing help because getting help looks like a weakness to them. They might even demand constant evaluation, always asking, "Do you still think I'm smart?" Now, if you see this, do not panic. Treat these behaviors as invitations for a calm conversation, definitely not as proof that you've ruined your kid.
Okay, let's see how this actually plays out during homework time. Imagine your kid knocks out the first 5 math problems perfectly. We might be really tempted to say, "Wow, you're so smart. I knew this would be easy for you." It's incredibly loving, for sure, but it accidentally links their value to natural capability. Instead, a better map points out the actual strategy. Try something like, you drew a picture for the first problem, then use the same pattern on the rest. That strategy really helped. Bam! Now they know exactly what to repeat next time.
But then, what happens when they hit that 6th problem and get it totally wrong? A really common reaction is, "Come on, you're too smart to miss that." Unfortunately, that just tells them mistakes do not fit their identity, making errors feel really dangerous. Instead, we can just calmly pivot and say, "Oh, this one changed the rule. Show me where your plan stopped working." Notice how the mistake just becomes data? The warmth is absolutely still there, but we're moving toward understanding together.
The main goal here is just brief, honest feedback that normalizes the struggle. You don't need a perfect, rehearsed script, but I absolutely love using this reframe. Being confused is not a sign that you are not smart. It is a sign that you have reached something new. It names the progress, it completely removes the shame, and it leaves room for learning without, worshiping the struggle itself.
To actually put this into practice, there's this beautifully simple tool called the shift plan. S. See the specific action you observed, like checking or organizing. H. Highlight what helped, specifically naming the strategy. I. Invite their view by simply asking, what helped most? F. Frame mistakes as information, just explaining what the error actually shows. And finally, T. Tie the feedback to the next step so they always have a clear path forward.
I really love this 7-day reset framework because, let's face it, we need manageable daily goals. Day 1, you don't change a thing. Literally just listen to yourself and notice your labels. Day 2, pick just one routine, maybe homework, to replace a label with an observation. By day 4, try responding to a mistake without rescuing or praising, just saying, let's see what this tells us. On day 6, try removing all comparisons to siblings or classmates. And by day 7, just review what phrases actually felt natural to you.
Okay, let's just take a deep breath here and ask the real question on everyone's mind. Does one slip-up mean we've completely ruined everything? If you accidentally tell your kid they are smart today, is it an absolute crisis?
The answer is a very, very reassuring no. The science shows praise is definitely not automatically harmful when it happens inside a loving, supportive relationship. A spontaneous, "you're so smart," said with a big hug is entirely different from a family system where love is dependent on always looking smart. Plus, remember that laboratory tasks aren't real life. Changing one sentence isn't some magic academic intervention. Evidence shows growth mindset effects are highly dependent on context, and at the end of the day, our kids still need sleep, good teaching, and emotional safety above all else.
And by the way, this applies across the board. Even highly gifted children who learn super quickly still desperately need us to separate their worth from their performance. A child who has always been the smart one can feel incredibly threatened when a subject finally gets hard. We have to remind them that needing practice doesn't cancel out their natural strengths. High ability does not excuse them from learning frustration tolerance or how to simply ask for help.
As we wrap up this explainer, here is one realistic action step you can actually try today. The very next time "you're so smart" naturally comes to your lips, just pause. You don't have to bite your tongue completely. Just add one true sentence about their process. Something exactly like, "You're excited about that score, and I noticed you checked every single answer before you turned it in." You never, ever have to remove the warmth or affection from your praise. Your child doesn't need to prove a permanent identity at the kitchen table. They just need permission to be capable, to be mistaken, to be helped, and to be fully loved through it all. Which really leaves us with a profound question to think about. How much more confident will your child be when they realize a mistake is just a map and not a verdict? What could they achieve when they are finally free to just learn?